Hi, it's David Jennings, founder of SYSTEMology, and I'm joined with the one and only Michael E. Gerber, the author and founder of eMyth, and his work has inspired millions and millions of business owners around the world, including me. And that seed that he planted over 40 years ago in entrepreneurs' minds around the world, that this entrepreneurial myth, the myth that because you think you can do the thing, you can run a business that sells the thing, but it's very different from doing it versus running the business. There are a lot of different components. And I think now I feel like the discussion, originally when Michael brought that up, that was a revelation for a lot of business owners. They get the aha. You read that eMyth book, and that's that moment you go, yes, I can see this quite clearly. And I feel like once you've had that, that has really changed the course of small business. And now I think the discussion, everybody believes and understands the importance of systems. I don't think I've ever had a discussion with a business owner where we've come to the conclusion that, oh, my business doesn't need systems. Everybody agrees that we need systems. And then it comes around to this idea of, okay, but where do we begin? So I'd love to maybe just explore a little bit more about how you developed the concept of the eMyth and how that you then formalized that and articulated that as a problem that a lot of business owners face.
Well, David, first of all, thank you for being here with me, and I'm delighted to be here with you. As you know, we've had lovely conversations, productive conversations, challenging conversations over the years. Obviously, my more years than yours. But it's ironic that we're sitting here today in 2020 talking about something that I launched in 1977. Now, what does that say about me? When you think that I've been doing this for all these years, literally impact the thoughts of millions upon millions of my readers, and yet still, despite what you just said, that you don't know any small business owner who decries the value or need for a system, but they just don't do it. And so the question that simply has arisen for you, for me, for all of us, then what? So if it hasn't made any difference, meaning last year in 2019, there were about 500,000 companies went out of business. This year, with COVID-19, there's a few more. So if there wasn't the virus in 2019, how do you account for the devastating failure rate of all those companies? You understand, there was a pandemic before the pandemic, and it was the pandemic of stupid. Now hear me, you gotta be aggravated. When you get to this point in your life, this point in time, and I know how effectively and efficiently this point of view has been communicated, and yet the resistance to actually doing it is just immense. And so I welcome SYSTEMology because you've taken that on whole hog plus the postage.
One thing I only really learnt by going through your dreaming room when I went over to Carlsbad and got to do that magnificent event with you in person was the importance of the dream, vision, purpose, and mission, and the planting of that seed. Up until that point, I'd really just built businesses almost haphazardly. You fall into something, you start something because you like it or you know a little bit, and you kind of build it almost like this Frankenstein style business. Whereas SYSTEMology, when the seed was planted in the dreaming room, that first piece, that's really where it all starts. I don't think I used to have an appreciation for the articulation of what it is that the company is here to do. once I kind of moved through that, and I see that quite frequently with a lot of business owners, where they've now got some traction. You know, if they've gone through a lot of your work and they've discovered their dream, and they've built it out, they're now getting a little bit of traction. Oftentimes one of the biggest places I see them get stuck is, okay, well, I've got this now. How do I then systemize it? And again, yeah, that is what SYSTEMology, what I really wanted to do here is, okay, well, I've read it now. I've got the foundation. It's that next piece. It's the how-to guide of how do you go from no systems to something. And I'd love to see, because that speaks a big part to the challenge that you were talking about. A lot of business owners have trouble with bridging that gap, even though they know business systems are absolutely essential for building a growing company.
Well, they don't know it. They know it theoretically. They simply know it because they keep on hearing it. I mean, just today, I probably read or received about 30 emails from strangers, not coming to get something from me, but coming to sell me something. And the story, I've heard it before because I wrote it. You understand? And they all tell it badly because they all miss the point. And so the point, if you recall, way back then in my first book, The E-Myth, and then in the book that followed called The E-Myth Revisited, this is the most influential book ever written on business, proclaimed by everyone. But in this book, it says what I said in the dreaming room, and that moved you when you came to Carlsbad and went through that 2.5 days with me. You said you got an experience of why a business exists, not just how to. You understand, if you reduce SYSTEMology or reduce the entrepreneurial dictum, or if you reduce the creation of a company into simply how to, you miss the whole point. Just like the guy said, where's the why of it? The why of it is critical, but it's not just the why of it. It's the what of it, the why of it, and the how of it. And the compilation of all that into a methodology that effectively enables you to say, we're the guys who, let me show you how it works, and then you're able to do it. Until you can say we're the guys who, that effectively differentiates you from everybody else on the planet, you become just another, which is called a commodity. And so the vast majority of those companies that failed last year, fail this year, will fail next year, and the year after, and the year after, and the after. All of them are simply commodities. There's nothing that distinguishes them from anybody else. And so in the dreaming room, we achieve or attempt to achieve that differentiation. I have a dream, I have a vision, I have a purpose, I have a mission. The entrepreneur as the dreamer, as the thinker, as the storyteller, as the leader. That's what we did with you and what we've been doing with thousands upon thousands of prospective entrepreneurs, all leading them to what we call the eightfold path. The dream is step 1, the vision is step 2, the purpose is step 3, the mission is step 4, and then the job, the practice, the business, the enterprise. And SYSTEMology becomes the heartfelt link to implementing the dream, the vision, the purpose, the mission, in the job, the practice, the business, the enterprise. So I see systemology as exactly what must take place in order for your job, that is your client fulfillment system, your practice, your client acquisition system, your franchise prototype, your business, your management system, and your enterprise, your leadership system, to grow from a company of 1 to a company of 1,000. From 1 to 1,000, the evolution of an enterprise. And remarkably, my goodness, I wrote the book on it. And now you've come with the absolutely essential book. And the absolutely essential book isn't a book, it's a process. And you say, step 1, let's do this. Step 2, let's do that. And you walk them through the process that every single business owner must not only understand, but do. When someone begins to do that, you have altered the shape of business forever. Hear me, David. You've altered the shape of business forever. And if you've altered the shape of business forever, you'd help me achieve my dream to transform the state of small business worldwide, to invent the McDonald's of small business consulting services, to make it possible for every small business owner to successfully grow a company as successful as a McDonald's, and to build the business development system that's absolutely key to make that work. That's effectively what systemology has accomplished in my mind. Steve Jobs had a vision, a dream, a vision, a purpose, a mission, and that was the secret to how Apple became the first trillion-dollar enterprise ever. Exactly the way we're talking about it. So systemology is necessary for every single person who's listening to us right now. Not a good thing to do, not an interesting thing to do, not I'll get to it someday. It is absolutely core. It should be taught in every business university. It should be taught everywhere on the face of this planet. Your academy will become the absolute economic development indicator that is critical to transform the state of our economy worldwide, in every country worldwide. I honestly believe that. It's literally step by step, brilliant how to take what you do and to transform it into what it must become.
I think it's, and I think you've spoken to it so clearly for the business owner as they're listening to this, when they get the yes, but, because all leaders get that, particularly when it comes to systems. It's such a strange thing because they know intellectually that they need it so much, but then they can't help but fall into yes, but I'm not a systems guy. Yes, but I've tried that before and it didn't work. Yes, but my team's different. They won't follow systems. Yes, but I don't have enough time. Like, there's so many yes, buts. And for some reason, they just center around systems. But as you said, you have to push through that. It is the only way when it comes to building a growing business.
Well, you understand, if one begins to look at the ownership of a company as a profession, just like one looks at dentistry as a profession, law as a profession, and on and on and on and on. You got to go to school. You understand? You got to go to school. You got to learn how. And to the degree you say, yeah, but you ain't going to become a professional in business. You're going to become a fool. You understand? It's that dramatic. You're going to become an idiot. Somebody says, I don't want to go to school. I don't want to learn how to read. I don't want to learn how to write. I don't like to read. I don't like to write. I don't give a shit. You understand? That's what his father should say to him. That's what his mother should say to him. You got to go to school. You got to learn how to build a business if you intend to grow a business. What else is true? My God, it's so obvious. But you understand, anybody can start a business. That's the point. Anybody can start a business. You don't have to know anything to start a business. You just got to put your money down and start. So any dummy can, in fact, start a business, and any dummy does. It's tragic. So rather than legislating it, meaning disallowing somebody from starting a company until they pass all the tests, what we must do inside that industry is to make what we do absolutely necessary. And so, yes, the academy that you're speaking about is absolutely essential for anybody who owns a business today or intends to own a business tomorrow. They got to learn the rules of the game. They got to know how it works. They've got to know how to fix the car if they're going to own one. They can't simply hire a mechanic. Understand, leadership in the operation of a company is the first most critical function that must be possessed, because to the degree you don't possess leadership, it isn't being led. It runs amok. And systemology is a core component of business leadership. So you got to go to school for it.
It's funny,
There you go.
my systems brain automatically kicks into, okay, well, what are the next 3 steps? Step 1, if you haven't read the E-Myth, get the E-Myth, read it, internalize it, understand it. Step 2, get Systemology, read it, understand it, internalize it. Step 3, join the Systemology Academy and go to school, because it is something that you and your team must master. So, Michael, thank you so much for your insight, guidance, mentorship over the years. I very much appreciate it, and your support in my work as well. So thank you.
David, hear me. You must be really, really hard with the people you speak to. Do you understand this isn't something that would be good for them to do? This is something that's essential for them to do. The failure rate of business, the failure rate of small business is so tragically alarming that it's just astonishing that anybody could decide they want to start a business of their own and blow all of that time and that capital only to fail at it. You got to go to school, guys. You got to go to school. And Systemology, the academy, is an absolutely critical school you must go to. Good. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Love you. Bye-bye.